Yeah, thank you so much. I think when we talk about policy and policy making, we need to understand that it is a very, let's say, technical process, and we oftentimes forget what we are actually trying to represent. And when I mean we, I mean both policymakers, I mean civil society actors who are also contributing to that process of policy making. And at the end of the day, it's very important to understand the One Health concept. The health of the animals depends on our health and vice versa, and we all depend on the health of the planet. And it doesn't matter if you look at it from a climate perspective, from a selfish human perspective, or from an animal welfare perspective. At the end of the day, that is the reality of the situation. So it's very important when drafting policy that we understand what we are representing. And out of all these technical words, we understand that there are lives, and that if we look at the state of the planet, it is clear that we're doing something wrong. And in my experience, what I'm seeing is that more and more, we are becoming more divided. We are becoming more unaware of who we are, more detached, more disconnected. And this is fundamentally what I think this lack of consciousness is what is lacking in policymaking. And it is one of, in my opinion, one of the main reasons why we are now at the point where we are at now. And this lack of understanding, this lack of communication is just making the situation worse and worse, to the point where there is not just no point of no return in terms of the physical barriers of the planet, but it seems that we are creating some divisions that are going to be very hard to get back to it. So I'm very hard to be sitting by your side, because I think people like you are an inspiration, and we need more of that into policy, and people who are working in policy to hopefully bridge that gap.
What are the key legal or diplomatic barriers preventing food system emissions from being adequately addressed here in the UNFCCC processes? How should COP30 negotiators work to overcome them?
Well, I want to be very clear, and I want to use this stage to make a statement, and is that the barriers are neither diplomatic nor legal. The barriers are corporate greed and corporate power. We have seen news in The Guardian and Forbes this week about the amount of lobbyists from animal agriculture and from fossil fuel sectors. Fossil fuel sectors are even bigger represented than a lot of the delegations that we have here. So how are we gonna create solutions together when the corporate greed is able to bully their way in the most important rooms where policymaking is designed? And so the first step, and I think we should exclusively be talking about this step, is about leaving corporate and corporations outside of policy-making rooms. This is just very clear. It has to be in the UN, it has to be at the national level, and it has to be at the local level. And we understand that private sector, it is a part of our economy, and it is a part of our lives. But the way that the neoliberal capitalist system is designed is to commodify, extract, and profit. That's the only way. And yes, there might be some more ethical or less ethical companies, but in general, these big corporations are not here to help anybody, are just here to fill the pockets of their stakeholders. And that is just the reality of the situation. So there is only one step that we need to take, which is leave corporations outside of negotiation rooms and these processes at all levels.
In one sentence, what are the root causes of the development of having such an unhealthy or unhumane pattern of consumption or culture of consuming food, like eating other creatures' bodies, for example?
It's marketing. It's exactly what I was saying before. If we look 1 or 1.5 generations ago, the level of consumption of animal products was not nearly as close as it is right now. I remember my grandparents' generation, they would eat meat like once a month. And today in Spain, they eat meat 3 times a day. This is basically marketing from the industry. It's all it is. And at the same time, it's also important to highlight that, for example, back home, we have the traditional Mediterranean diet, which is mostly based on grains, legumes, pulses, etc. And today, the Mediterranean diet is meat, fish, cheese. It's nothing to do. But they have been able to make us believe that that is our Mediterranean diet, and that is just purely marketing. So I think the topic today is very relevant to understand where we come from, what do we want for ourselves, and what do we want our relationship with the planet and with the rest of the animals to be.
Thank you so much, Enric. Beautifully summarized.